So a few days ago on jcrewfactory.com, which if you don't know, J.Crew Factory is kind of their J.Crew's outlet website for their outlet stores. They were actually having a crazy sale on clearance items. So you take the clearance item price, which is already heavily reduced, and then you take another 70% off of that price at checkout. So you're probably paying somewhere in the range of 80 to 90% off the original ticket price of items. And J.Crew is, you know, it's nothing to laugh at. It's not necessarily a cheap store. If you want to get, you know, a nice jacket in there, it's between $100 and $500. If you want to get a nice pair of pants, it's around $150 or $200. Sweaters can run you anywhere between $50 to $150, depending on what you're going for. It's a nice store. And so to be able to get clothes for 90% off seemed like too good a deal to pass up. And so I was at the office when I noticed the sale. I actually got an email announcement about it. I jumped on the website, and I wasn't really looking for anything for myself because I already have a majority of what I want to have in my wardrobe with my sort of new style choices. And my wife is still missing a few pieces, a few articles that she wanted to pick up, so I was looking for anything that she might like. The convenient thing about that is I had recently helped her sort of take some of her measurements, and so I still had them fresh in my head. And so I was able to look at sort of sizing charts for things and figure out what sizes to order for her without having to sort of interrupt her day and go, hey, jump online, stop everything you're doing, look at everything that's available that you might like, check out the sizes, figure out what you want me to order. I sort of just did it on my own, and I ordered things that I thought she might like. On top of that, I looked at stuff for my son, who is 6, and my daughter, who is turning 3, and I basically found them a bunch of things that I thought looked nice in one size up from where I think they are right now. Actually, my son, I went with his current sizing, maybe a little bit bigger. My daughter, I went sort of one size up from where she is. I figure if, you know, she gets a cute little dress or something, if it's a little big now, she can still wear it and she'll grow into it over the next year and a half. But then I did notice a few things that I wanted to pick up for myself. There were a couple sweaters that are really nice, some thin merino wool sweaters that were really nice that I could wear sort of as a mid-layer, sort of over a shirt with a tie, but under a jacket, something like that, nice and thin. And then I also noticed what I'm wearing right now, actually two of what I'm wearing right now. This is a knit necktie. This is something that was on the original sort of checklist, shopping list of items that I was given by ChatGPT when I told it I wanted to build out a 1940s-style men's wardrobe. It said one of the things that you would often see were knit neckties or knitted neckties. And so I actually was able to grab 2 of them. There's the one that I'm wearing right now, which is this nice sort of rugby striped. It's green with blue and gold bar stripes going across it. And then I was able to pick up this one right here, and I'll hold it up. Hopefully my camera can focus on it because still working on that camera focus issue. I apologize. But this here is a knitted necktie. You can see it's got the texture of something like a knitted sweater. It's a rougher, more visible texture to it. This one is in a solid navy. And I've never owned a knitted necktie before, and from what I understand, they were common of the era because there was a lot of rationing going on. In fact, for a lot of the early 1900s, there was a lot of rationing going on because you had the First World War, and then you had the Roaring '20s in the middle, but then you had the Depression in the '30s, and then you had the Second World War in the '40s, and so there was a lot of rationing going on. And so if you needed something like a necktie that could easily be knitted by your wife or somebody in your household, there was no reason to go out and buy an expensive, silk necktie or something like that when you could have a crocheted one. They're the ones that I bought, these 2 from J.Crew, the navy and this nice striped one. They are definitely thinner than my more modern sort of silk neckties that you would see. They're not skinny ties by any means, but they are definitely thinner, and they're also shorter in overall length. They're definitely shorter than the ones that I have. I don't know if you can get a good feel for this if I just sort of like hold it up next to me, but it's shorter. I had to sort of adapt to the way that I tied it. I couldn't do a double Windsor with this. I wanted to. I typically do a double Windsor knot because I have a fatter neck. I have an 18.5-inch neck, I think is what it is, and I also wear broader sort of spread collars, and so to have a nice fat knot in the middle, sort of fill that space up, works better than having something like a skinny single Windsor or just a quick knot, and so it makes the tie fit the size of my neck and my collar better. With this, however, you don't really have enough length to go with a double Windsor, and on top of that, this material is much thicker and kind of rougher to adjust as versus what it would be with a standard tie. And so when you're tying this, go with a simpler knot, or at least I had to go with a simpler knot. and you have to kind of nail the initial placement of the knot. With a more modern tie, you have your front of the tie, which you can sort of use to tighten the knot, and then the back of the tie, the tail, which you can sort of use to position the knot up into the top of the collar so it's snug against your neck, and then you tuck the tail into the back of the blade of the tie, I believe is what it's called. There's usually a loop back there of fabric. You can tuck the tail into that, and the whole thing lays nice and flat on your shirt. If you want to, you add a nice little tie clip to hold it in place, and you're good to go. With these, because there's this rougher, coarser material, and because you really don't want to be pulling on this too much because it is knitted and you don't want to sort of destroy the way that the knit lays against, you know, the crosses lay against each other, you don't want to be too rough with adjusting this, and frankly it's difficult to adjust because of the texture of the material, so you really need to get that initial knot in almost the perfect position, and then you can slide it up and adjust it a bit, but you can't really work it the way that you do a more modern tie where you can really sort of shape the knot and adjust it the way that you like. With this, you get a little less of that sort of free manipulation because it's just a rougher feel to move it around. But I do like the way that it looks. It has a lot of character. It has a bit more sort of, I don't know, presence to it because it does have that texture, and this is also sort of the first patterned tie that I've worn. The other three that I have, the three modern ties, are just red, black, or blue individually, and this one is blue as well. So this is my only patterned necktie that I've worn so far. But I like the way that it looks. It has a little more presence. It's not something that really jumps out at you. It's not even really as prominent as something like a bow tie, where if you saw somebody across the room wearing a bow tie, you can tell they're wearing a bow tie. They're very clearly not wearing a necktie. This, from more than a few feet away, looks like a regular necktie until you get up close and then you notice, oh, it's actually got some interesting texture to it. Oh, it's knitted. Oh, that's cool. The one dead giveaway, if you could see it, which you can't the way that I'm wearing this, and I think the way in general that you would wear these, you wouldn't be able to see it, is the tip of the front of the tie, or what again I think is called the blade. If you look here on this one, you can sort of see, I'll try to hold it so that you can see it, it's square down here. It's not pointed or angled like the regular bottom of a tie that you would see. And so that's a dead giveaway if you could see that. However, because it is a shorter tie, or at least these are shorter, I don't know if they are sort of traditionally, you can't really wear it without a vest or a sweater covering it, as I am right here, because the bottom of the tie does not hang as low as a standard modern tie. I wear my pants pretty high on my waist. I wear them just above my navel. So they're about as high as you're gonna wear your pants. And I still have about 6 to 10 inches of open shirt between the bottom of this tie and the top of my pants. So you definitely have to wear it under a vest or under a sweater, otherwise that's going to look really awkward and silly. But I do like the way that it looks. I like the way that it sort of fits in the collar. It's got a bit more of a tall, sort of skinny, protruding knot than the flat-laying wide knot that you get from a standard tie with the double Windsor, but because the material is thicker, it still takes up that additional space and fills in the collar nicely. So I like it. I'm definitely going to wear these two, the one that I have on and this one, and sort of mix them into my standard rotation. And I'm glad I was able to get them for so cheap. I think these originally were supposed to be something like $50 or $60 each, and I got them for like $15 each because of that crazy clearance sale. So yeah, if you guys haven't tried one, check out knitted ties. They're pretty cool. They're definitely of the era that I'm going for as far as style that I like. I will definitely still wear normal neckties and bow ties when the occasion calls for it, but these are nice. I'm definitely going to mix these in. I enjoy them. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.